All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the one and only Wrestling Otaku channel. Of course, your personification of excellence on YouTube and YWC. We're the best reviews wrestling and your three-time YWC channel of the year. And I'm back here. It is now officially Saturday night. It is March the 8th of 2025. So we are now officially less than 24 hours away, one day away from AEW's first pay-per-view of the calendar year, first pay-per-view of 2025, that being AEW's Revolution 2025 pay-per-view will take place, of course, tomorrow on Sunday, March 9th, 2025, emanating from Los Angeles, California at the Crypto.com Arena. And I've been looking forward to this pay-per-view for quite some time, as I'm sure a lot of other people have. A lot of other people have been following AEW, especially recently since AEW has been on the rise. They've done a lot of really solid shows. They're getting really hot at the right time. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good storylines, and this match card for Revolution looks stacked, looks loaded, and this is going to be something special, man. They got over 10,000 people who are going to be packing that arena in Los Angeles for this show, so it's not going to be a small venue. It's not going to be, oh, they have to empty, oh, they have the arenas, blah, blah, blah. They've already damn near had they damn near sold out the entirety of the setup. You know, they were set up for like, I think 11,000. They're close to, matching that or surpassing that. So who's to say how many tickets they'll sell by tomorrow? But anyway, so I wanted to go ahead and give you guys my official AEW Revolution 2025 predictions video, as I promised. I know it's a little late, but it is what it is. I got work and other things, so had to kind of delay this. And plus, I want to wait until I got this smartphone again. To kind of want to wait until I got this phone in the mail so I can get back to doing these quality videos, as you saw yesterday and earlier today. So with that being said, let us go ahead and get into it, man. So for those of you who watch Collision, of course, Collision took place a little while ago. It's a little past 10 p.m. It's little past 10:30. Just got through watching AEW Collision, solid show. Really solid main event. Good show up and down. Obviously most of it was to hype up matches we're going to see for tomorrow night. So decent go home show. And of course on Dynamite on Wednesday a couple days ago, the go home show for Dynamite before Revolution was pretty solid as well. So AEW's been doing some good shows as of late, and I get the distinct feeling that Revolution 2025 AEW is going to deliver once again, as AEW has with their pay-per-views ever since their inception. AEW, despite what people say about them, despite the quote-unquote lack of direction or this, that, and the third, and the quote slump that they've been in the last year or so, even though I don't really think it's a slump, but despite everything that people say, AEW always delivers on their pay-per-views, and I think tomorrow night will be no exception with Revolution. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens on the show. Now, I do have, I am scheduled for work, but I do get off at 7 tomorrow, so I will be back home in time for the 0 hour, or at the very least the second half, I guess you could say, of the 0 hour, and I'm very much looking forward to this pay-per-view. So with that being said, now that we are a day away from the pay-per-view taking place, I want to go ahead and do my prediction video here, so that's what I'm going to be doing right now. So without further ado, let me go ahead and give it to you. So for those of you who are familiar with the channel, you know how I do these predictions videos. For anybody who's new to the channel, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at every match on the card that is listed for the card for tomorrow night. I'm going to briefly go through them. I'm trying to make this not as long as I have previous predictions videos, because I do tend to drag on when it comes to like making predictions videos. I've had predictions videos go 30, 40 minutes, for previous AEW shows. I'm going to try to kind of short it down, or, just kind of keep it to like a brief, my brief thoughts on each match, not really go in depth as maybe as I have in past videos, because I don't want this video to be too long. But I'm going to go through every match, give my thoughts on it briefly, and then give my predictions as to who I think is going to win and why, and what I think of the match, how I think it's going to go. So with that being said, that's pretty much how we're going to do it. So without further ado, let us go ahead and get into my AEW Revolution 2025 predictions. So as we currently stand, there are 12 matches that have been listed for the card for tomorrow, according to the Wikipedia. There are 3 matches for the 0 hour, and the remaining 9 will be on the main show. So that's a pretty solid lineup, a pretty solid number. You got 12 as a whole, 3 on the 0 hour, and then 9 on the main card. So I don't think they're going to add to that. So I think this is what the final card is going to be. They might add one more match, but I seriously doubt it, considering that you got a couple tag matches on the 0 hour. So I think they're going to stick with this format So with that being said, without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start with the 0 hour matches. And we will begin with this special, I guess you could say, special trios match that was announced, I believe, last week. So it's going to be the team of the conglomerations, Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe, teaming up with Big Boom AJ. Yes, Big Boom AJ will be wrestling in this match. Only his second match in his AEW, only his second match in AEW, or his second match as a whole, because he wrestled, of course, at the last pay-per-view in the 0 hour as well against QT Marshall. That was his first ever match. Of course, if you don't know, Big Boom AJ is part of that whole Costco guys, thing, that's a viral, they were viral, like a viral, he's part of like a viral, YouTube channel or viral sensation, whatever. So I guess he's like an internet celebrity, if you will. But anyway, Big Boom AJ joins Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe in this six-man tag. And they will be facing the team of Johnny TV and MXM Collection, that being Mansoor and Mason Madden. So yeah, trios match here. Should be interesting. Should be interesting to see how Big Boom AJ kind of follows up on his first singles match, with his victory against QT Marshall. Obviously they're trying to, AEW's trying to hop on this, bandwagon to this train of, this celebrity, if you will, a celebrity appearance of Big Boom AJ, and, him wanting to be a wrestler and him getting kind of dipping his toe, if you will, into the wrestling realm. And he's going to be teamed with two solid guys, and Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy. And then, of course, Johnny TV, who we haven't really seen wrestle a whole lot, recently, and then MXM Collection, who are a decent tag team. So this will be an interesting six-man tag. As to who wins, obviously it's going to be the conglomeration and Big Boom AJ, just simply for the fact that Big Boom AJ is going to be on their team. So I don't see him taking a loss here. With all due respect to Johnny TV and MXM Collection, I don't see them winning. So it's going to be Big Boom AJ, Orange Cassidy, and Mark Briscoe getting the win in this match, and that's pretty much as much of a lock as you can say for one, any of the picks that I make on this prediction video. Moving on. So next up, we have a match that was actually announced, I believe, tonight, actually like an hour or so ago. It will be a singles match for the ROH World Championship. Strange that they have the ROH World Championship on the 0 hour, but But again, this match was made last minute, so it's going to be the champion Chris Jericho defending against Gravity. I believe Gravity is like part of CMLL, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen him wrestle. Well, not actually, he's part of AAA, I should say. Lucha Libre AAA, yeah. So I've seen him wrestle a few times. Well, not a whole lot, like once or twice. But yeah, he has made appearances in AEW here and there as part of tag matches. Of course, they got a lot of, guys who wrestle that Lucha Libre style. Gravity was one of them. And he's going to be wrestling Chris Jericho here for the ROH World title. I'm not sure if he's like affiliated with ROH or if this is just like a one-off appearance. But anyway, so Chris Jericho versus Gravity, ROH World title match. As to who wins, it's got to be Chris Jericho. I don't see Chris Jericho dropping the ROH World title on the 0 hour of a pay-per-view, of an AEW pay-per-view. So Chris Jericho gets the win there. I'm sure a number of people probably won't be happy with that. And then anyway, moving on. So then our final match on the 0 hour, the third match, will be an 8-man tag team match. It will be a team of Daniel Garcia teaming up with the Undisputed Kingdom, that be Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, versus Shane Taylor Promotions, that be the team of Shane Taylor, Carly Bravo, Lee Moriarty, and Sean Dean. So we've been seeing kind of a back and forth between, Shane Taylor Promotions and the Undisputed Kingdom, as well as Daniel Garcia. On the main event of Collision tonight, Daniel Garcia successfully defended the TNT title against Lee Moriarty, and then afterwards you had Shane Taylor Promotions try to gang attack him, and the Undisputed Kingdom came to his aid. So this was another match that I think was just recently made, or just added to the 0 hour. So anyway, it should be a fun match, 8-man tag, with all these kind of different intertwining factions, parties, what have you. So it should be a fun match on the 0 hour. As to who wins, I got to go with Daniel Garcia and Undisputed Kingdom. I think they've got a little more momentum on their side right now. And I'm looking forward to seeing a potential rematch between Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole for that TNT title. Like that match they had on, I think it was Collision last week, that was a pretty damn good match. That was a solid-ass match, which unfortunately ended in a DQ because Shane Taylor Promotions got involved. I think that's another part of why this match was made. Anyway, so those are all the matches of the 0 hour. Those are my predictions of the 3 matches. So now we move on to the main card here. Kind of move my laptop over to the side so I can see it a little better. So they are as follows. I'm just going to go in order from top to bottom. from this match down to the main event, which will be the main event of the show. So we got a special steel cage match, a grudge match, if you will. It's going to be Will Ospreay one-on-one versus the Protostar Kyle Fletcher inside a steel cage. This is actually their third match, if you will, in their series, I guess you could say. Kyle Fletcher, of course, won their first match a couple months ago. I believe it was Full Gear, if I'm not mistaken. Kyle Fletcher got the win on Will Ospreay, shockingly, in a singles match over. It was either Full Gear or it was the pay-per-view before that. I'm pretty sure it was Full Gear. Kyle Fletcher got the victory in. Kyle Fletcher got the win over Will Ospreay in shocking fashion. I think a lot of people were surprised. They gave Kyle Fletcher a singles win over Will Ospreay. But then again, they were at the time trying to build Kyle Fletcher as a singles guy, and they have. And then Will Ospreay got the victory back at the following pay-per-view at World's End, the final pay-per-view of 2024, in the semifinals of the Continental Classic. Will Ospreay got the victory there over Kyle Fletcher. So both guys are 1-1 against each other, and this is going to be the third match, the rubber match, if you will. And obviously, it's going to be inside a steel cage. So of course, you got personal grudges, animosity, and all that kind of stuff with the Don Callis family, this, that, and the third, which the fact that it's a steel cage should eliminate any potential interference from the Don Callis family or from Don Callis himself, but I'm sure they're going to find some kind of way to intervene, or, Don Callis is going to find some kind of way to intervene in this match. We'll see. Not physically, but I mean, maybe he throws some shit, or hands, Kyle Fletcher, gives Kyle Fletcher instructions from outside the cage, or whatever the case may be. But anyway, so this would be the fact that these two guys are wrestling each other again in their first two matches were badass as it was. The fact that this is going to take place in the steel cage, you're going to see some death-defying fucking spots in this thing, especially with Will Ospreay and the things that you've seen him do in the ring, and the moves and all sorts of and also the death-defying moves we've seen him do. And same thing with Kyle Fletcher. It's like, this is going to be this is going to be a badass match. This is going to be a badass match, and I can already tell. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be brutal, I can tell. As to who wins, it's really a toss-up. You could give it to either guy, but I just get the feeling that Will Ospreay is going to come out on top here. He's going to vanquish the demon that is, Kyle Fletcher and the Don Callis family. He's going to kind of put them on the back burner, if you will, and he's going to move forward, which I believe at some point Will Ospreay will be in world title contention, sooner rather than later. But I got Will Ospreay winning this match. He will defeat Kyle Fletcher. He will win the series, for now. And he's going to move on from that, and he's going to vanquish his former protege, his former partner in United Empire. And so it's going to be tough. It's going to be physical. It's going to be bloody, I'm sure. But I got Will Ospreay getting the win here over Kyle Fletcher. So I can't wait to see that match. That's going to be badass. That's going to be a match of the night candidate. That to me, of these matches, and there are several on this card that I'm really looking forward to. That is definitely one of the top ones. That Will Ospreay Kyle Fletcher steel cage match. So anyway, moving on here. So next up, we have a singles match for the first championship of the night, the AEW Continental Championship. The champion, Kazuchika Okada, defends against Brody King. Kazuchika Okada, he's held the Continental Championship since last year. He successfully defended it. He won the Continental Classic, only the second Continental Classic tournament in history. He won it, and therefore he is still the Continental Champion. We saw a match, Okada successfully defend against Buddy Matthews. Of course, Brody King's partner in their tag team, the Hounds of Hell, and now Brody King gets a shot at him. So we've kind of seen a little back and forth, a little tussle between these two guys the last few weeks. So obviously it's culminating in this match. So this ought to be a solid match as well. Okada, has proven over the years that he can work a good match with just about anybody, and Brody King is very, very capable as a singles wrestler, and even more so capable as a tag guy. And I do think that at some point him and Buddy Matthews, the Hounds of Hell, will be a staple in the tag division. But for this singles match, I very much look forward to Brody King taking the fight to Kazuchika Okada. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a solid outing for both guys. As to who wins, I got to give it to Okada. I think Okada retains. That's just how I feel. They could pull the shocker and have Brody King pull the upset, but I just don't see it here. I think Okada's going to secure the victory. He's going to overcome the size disparage. Whatever the fuck word is it? He's going to overcome the size disadvantage, I should say, and he's going to soundly defeat Brody King here in this match and retain the Continental Championship. That's what I think is going to happen there. All right, moving on. Next up, we get our next match, a grudge match, if you will. It's going to be MJF one-on-one versus Hangman Adam Page, and this has been a very interesting story, just these two guys and the kind of way that they've butted heads the last several weeks. You kind of got all these intertwining stories. You got, Hangman Page with what he was doing with Christopher Daniels and the match he had with Daniels where he basically retired Christopher Daniels. Yeah, MJF with the whole thing with him and Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff Jarrett hasn't really been seen on TV the last few weeks because now MJF's focus is Hangman Page, and it's like all these intertwining stories and all these kind of interloping stories. It's just really solid. It's really nice to see what AEW is doing here, and now you got MJF versus Hangman Adam Page in this singles match. You had several callbacks to previous encounters, dating back to 2019, where Hangman, Adam Page eliminated MJF in that casino. I think it was a casino battle royal, and to get his shot at the AEW World's title. This was back in 2019, and MJF's bringing all this up, and they're basically revisiting each other's history or each other's past transgressions, if you will, and thus obviously culminating in this match. And we've seen these guys just kind of go at it the last several weeks. We've had pull apart brawls, we've had both guys bloody each other up or beat each other up in various weeks, or various shows I should say. And so this ought to be a fun match, man. This is a dark horse. This match here could be a dark horse candidate for match of the night. And again, I'm gonna throw this one into the list. I'm gonna throw this one into the. Excuse me. I'm gonna highlight this match as a potential dark horse candidate for match of the night, and I think it's gonna be. I think both guys are gonna put on a show here. MJF and Hangman Adam Page. These are two guys who have shown in the past that they're main event players. They can pull a good match out of anybody. They can work a good match with anybody, and I think they're gonna. I think both of them are gonna work their magic here in this match. As to who wins, another toss-up to me. Conventional wisdom says MJF is gonna use some heel tactics or trickery to get the win, which I fully expect him to. But honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards Hangman Adam Page here. I think Adam Page hasn't had a whole lot of very strong victories as of late. He had that series with Jay White, which he lost both matches. He had a title shot against Moxley, which he ended up, ultimately losing. I think that was a 4-way. And so Hangman hasn't had a whole lot of, outside of, this match against Swerve Strickland, in that unsanctioned steel cage, he hasn't had a whole lot of strong wins in AEW recently, and I think this is the chance, this is the opportunity for Hangman Adam Page to get back on that winning track and get a serious, strong victory over somebody the caliber of an MJF. I just get the feeling that Hangman Adam Page is going to pull this one out, We'll see. Like I said, it's a toss-up. I can see MJF winning. I can see Hangman Adam Page winning. For the sake of this video, I'm going to say that Hangman Adam Page gets the win here. He pulls it out. And I don't think this is going to be the last match between these two either. I think this is going to be a series of matches we're going to see between these two guys. So I think it's going to be a very personal feud and a very personal series of matches. I think we're going to see several matches between these two in the near future. So that's what I think about that. All right, moving on. So next up, we have our next championship match, this one being for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The champions, the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, the defending champions, versus the Outrunners, that being, of course, Turbo, Floyd, and Truth Magnum. I believe this is the first time the Outrunners have actually had a a standard or standalone, I should say, shot at the AEW World Tag Titles. They were involved in a previous title match, but it was a 4-way. It was a four-team match, or 4 tag teams in one match, competing for the AEW World Title, or Fatal 4-way, however you want to put it, 4 corners, however you want to put it. So technically, this is the Outrunners' first true shot at the AEW World Tag Team titles in a standalone tag match, and they're going to be facing a team in the Hurt Syndicate and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, who are about as dominant as we've seen, about as dominant of a team and a faction as we've seen in quite some time. Just every single match they've been in, they just completely dominated their opponents, whether it be against the former champions, Private Party, who of course, they won the titles during that match back on, that was a couple weeks ago back, I believe in the episode of Dynamite. I should say. They won the tag titles on that night, and then ever since then, they've just been a dominating force, especially Lashley, but now Lashley and Benjamin as a team, they're damn near unstoppable. And they've had a couple, 1 or 2 title defenses since then. And this will be a tough challenge, for the in terms of the outrunners. That being Lashley and Benjamin, this is going to be a tough test for them as well. This is going to be a tough title defense for them as well because the outrunners have been, they've been on a roll. They're still very much over with the crowd, and I do think that at some point AEW is going to pull that trigger. I just don't think it's going to be on this night. So, AEW World Tag Title match, Hurt Syndicate versus the Outrunners. My pick, I got the Hurt Syndicate winning, and they retain the titles. And the Outrunners, I don't think they're going to be out of the conversation in terms of in terms of the tag division, in terms of the AEW tag titles. I do think they're going to pursue them down the line, and at some point, I think they will capture those titles because they're too over. They're too over to not give them a run at the titles. Same thing with Harley Cameron. I said the same thing about Harley Cameron when she had wrestled that match against Mercedes Moné back at AEW Grand Slam Australia. So, but yeah, should be a fun tag match. I'm sure it's gonna be a back and forth affair. But give me the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin to win this match and retain the AEW World Tag Titles for another month, or for another pay-per-view, I should say, for another week. Anyway, moving on. So next up, we get our first women's match of the night. This will be for the AEW TBS Championship. The current champion, Mercedes Moné, 4 belts Moné, defending against Momo Watanabe, who was the winner of that interpromotional women's battle royal. Well, not battle royal. I forget what they call it. International. It was a 4-way match where the winner would get a shot at a champion of their choosing from any of the promotions represented, and Momo Watanabe chose to face Mercedes Moné for the AEW TBS Championship. So that's. But, by virtue of that, that's how she's getting this title shot here. So, Mercedes Moné has been on fire. Like, she's undefeated. She hasn't taken a single loss since she's come to AEW last year. To me, she's having the best run of her career. And yes, I said the best run of her career, regardless of what all the haters and all the online skeptics and bullshit artists online might say. Oh, Mercedes Moné, she's being ruined in AEW. She doesn't look all that good. Blah blah blah. It's a bunch of bullshit. Anybody saying that clearly is not watching her stuff, or they're just fucking lying out their ass. Because Mercedes Moné is having the best run of her career. Be it NXT or WWE. She is having the best run of her career right now as TBS champion, and she's also got the IWGP or the New Japan Strong Women's Champion and also the Rev Pro Women's Championship. And she's got 4 belts on her, and she's been undefeated. She's been untouchable. She's been as good as anybody in AEW in the last year, and we've seen it. Every single week. She puts the work in. Mercedes Moné puts the work in, and she's going to put the work in this match. Now, Momo Watanabe, I've seen some of her matches. She actually wrestled a match tonight on Collision against Serena Deeb. Solid match, solid outing there, which Momo Watanabe got the victory, of course. But this ought to be a fun match. Apparently, these two wrestled each other last summer, I believe. They made mention of it on commentary. Mercedes Moné won that match, and so I think they're going to both these ladies here are going to put on a show. I think it's going to be a solid outing. Mercedes Moné was involved in 2 of the best women's matches we've seen all year last year. Both of them, of course, involving her and Chris Statlander, which I still to this day think those are 2 of the best women's matches in pro wrestling all year. Not just in AEW, but in pro wrestling. Back-to-back pay-per-view appearance. Back-to-back pay-per-views we saw that match. And in back-to-back pay-per-views, Moné and Statlander fucking put on a fucking 5-star classic. Just 2 excellent matches between those two ladies. And I think Mercedes Moné has that potential in her, and I think she's going to wrestle another very solid match here out of Momo Watanabe. I think both these ladies are going to be solid in this match. As to who wins, I got to give it to Mercedes, man. I just don't see Mercedes losing. Not to, with all due respect to Momo Watanabe, I think she's a New Japan talent, New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't see her dropping the TBS title to Momo Watanabe. That's just me. So Mercedes Moné will continue her reign. She will continue her winning streak at least for another month until I do think there's a handful of names who I think AEW is saving for Mercedes Moné to finally take a loss to. I'm just gonna keep it to myself for now. Maybe that's a future video. But for me, Mercedes Moné gets the victory here. She retains the TBS title, and she downs successfully Momo Watanabe here in this match. All right, moving on. So next up, we get a number 1 contenders match where the winner will get a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It is going to be Swerve Strickland 1-on-1 versus Ricochet. We've seen this feud, this rivalry develop over the last month or so. It has been bloody. It has been personal. It has been pretty damn entertaining. On top of that, I'll say, we actually saw a match between these two on Dynamite a couple weeks ago, which Ricochet actually won thanks to some, shady tactics, if you will, at the end of that match, which allowed Ricochet to take advantage and win that match. And as a result, Ricochet ended up taking the robe of Prince Nana, and Prince Nana seemingly was distraught by that, because obviously that robe is basically his, he puts his pretty much his everything, or his all of his kind of stock, if you will, in terms of the embassy and stuff he puts into that robe or whatever, and Ricochet basically commandeered it, basically stole it. And so he's entrusting Swerve Strickland to get the robe back for him. And of course, the extra added emphasis of this match is that it's a number one contenders match where the winner will face the AEW World Champion down the line. So it's a rematch here, Swerve versus Ricochet. And also, this past week on Dynamite, Ricochet got a pinfall victory over Swerve Strickland in a tag match, so that might be worth remembering. But I do think it's going to be another very, very solid match. These two guys are capable of putting on a show, putting on a classic wrestling match. I think they're going to do it again here. I think it's going to be entertaining as all hell. It's going to be fucking death-defying. It's going to be breathtaking, electrifying. It's going to be these two guys are going to. This is another match that is show stealing potential, show stealing quality. It's pay-per-view, as much of a pay-per-view quality match as you can get. And I do think that there might be some kind of possible, in terms of the outcome of the match. I do think Prince Nana is going to factor into it. We will see. I got theories about that, but again, I'm just going to keep it to myself. But, we could see, a possible turn. We could see Prince Nana factoring somehow into the finish of this match. You never know. But as to who wins, I think it's going to be a damn good match nonetheless. But as to who wins, I got to give it, I'm kind of leaning towards Swerve Strickland here just because Ricochet won their first match, again, through heels tactics. And then he got the pin on Swerve Strickland in a tag match. So I just don't see Swerve Strickland taking a whole lot of, more losses. Or I don't see Swerve Strickland, accumulating losses like that. I mean, he's too good of a talent, and he's, very much in that top upper echelon of talents in AEW. I don't think you want to have Swerve Strickland accumulate a bunch of losses, at least not at one time. So I got Swerve Strickland winning this match by hook or by crook. He downs Ricochet, and then maybe we'll see something at the end of the match. You never know. But yeah, I do think there's going to be something more to it than just a simple finish of this match. We will see. Anyway, moving on. So next up, we got our second women's match of the night, this one being for the AEW Women's World Championship. It'll be a Falls Count Anywhere match, a Hollywood-ending Falls Count Anywhere match. The new champion, the current champion, Timeless Toni Storm, defending against the former champion, her former protege, her former, I guess you could say fan, if you will, that being Mariah May. So obviously we know the history between these two. It was Mariah May who took the title from Toni Storm back at All In last year in London, and she held the title ever since. That is until, of course, earlier this year, where Timeless Toni Storm made her grand return, after, portraying, basically herself as basically portraying herself as her previous gimmick and acting like she didn't remember anything. And then she, kind of came forward. She resurfaced as Timeless Toni Storm. She challenged Mariah May for the title at Grand Slam Australia in the main event, and she won, and she took the title back from Mariah May. Thus, Mariah May came back, or Mariah May comes out, a week after, attacks Toni Storm, leaves her bloody, or, beats her up, and then challenges her to a match once again, and saying this is the, quote, Hollywood ending. And so we're going to see a match number 3 between these two ladies, and it ought to be a fun one. It ought to be very... There's going to be a lot of stuff happening. There's going to be a lot of chicane. There's going to be a lot of stuff. There's going to be a lot of... I can already tell right now, just based on the fact that it's Falls Count Anywhere, and, no disqualification, the Hollywood ending. There's going to be a lot of stuff going down in this match. I can already tell. It's going to be something. This match is going to be something. It is going to be one for the record books, I'll tell you that right now. But it's going to be very physical. I'm sure both ladies are going to maybe shed some blood here and there. They're gonna pull out all the stops. I can tell you that it's gonna be a fun match. As to who wins, It's going to be close, but I got to give it to Timeless. I got to give it to Timeless Tony Storm. I don't see her dropping the title in her first title defense. So I think she's going to down Mariah May once and for all. She's going to put Mariah May in the ground, and this is going to be the, quote, Hollywood ending. And Tony Storm, Timeless Tony Storm, is going to once and for all down her former protege, down her former partner, if you will. And she's going to retain the AEW Women's World Championship. So that's how I see this match playing out, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's gonna be a show. Like I said before, it's gonna be a as close to a spectacle of a match as we're gonna see all night. So we'll see what happens during it. All right, next up, we've got 2 matches left. So next up, we get our second to last match here. This will be for the AEW International Championship and another rematch, another grudge match, if you will. It will be the champion, Konosuke Takeshita, defending against the best bout machine, that being, of course, Kenny Omega. These 2 guys have a history. These 2 guys, before Kenny Omega's unfortunate injuries, where he had, the bout with diverticulitis. Before all that, before he was out for like a year plus, these 2 guys wrestled each other on several occasions, with Konosuke Takeshita getting the victory in both outings, one being a tag match and the second being a singles match at a pay-per-view, which of course was referenced. That Konosuke Takeshita pinned Kenny Omega twice in 7 days, in a span of 7 days, which that was mentioned multiple times by Don Callis, by Kenny Omega. And this match here being, of course, for the International Championship, which was currently held by Takeshita. And Takeshita actually, at one point, he was the IWGP Strong champion as well. Strong Openweight champion. I don't know if he still is, but anyway. So obviously, there's history here, not just with Takeshita and Omega, but with Omega and Don Callis, of course. Obviously, Takeshita's under the branch of the Don Callis family, so obviously you factor that in. And yeah, so I think these 2 guys are going to have a classic outing, as their first match was, back in, I think it was 2022 when they last wrestled that singles match. I believe it was All Out 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 2022 when they last wrestled. But anyway, or 2023. Again, I'm losing track of my dates here. But anyway, so this ought to be a classic. This is another match that I see as match of the night. I'm going to throw it in that, list. I'm going to throw this match into the hat, if you will, on the list of, potential match of the night candidates. It is going to live up to all the expectations going into it. Kenny Omega is wrestling about as good as we've ever seen him wrestle. Takeshita's on a roll. He's a world-class athlete, and he will continue to make that rise, I think, going into the futures. But this clash between these 2 guys is going to be something special. It's going to be something special, I can already tell, just based on the match they had previously. It's going to be good. It's going to be excellent. This might even be match of the year candidate. And I know it's early. It's only March, but I think it has that potential, man. I really do think it has that potential. That and the Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher match and the steel cage match I talked about earlier. As to who wins, I gotta give it to the challenger here, man. I just gotta give it to Kenny Omega. I think he's going to get another measure of revenge against both Takeshita for beating him previously, and against Don Callis for all the shit that Don Callis has put him through. And on top of that, he's going to be, at the end of it, the new AEW International Champion, the first time he has held a title in a number of years, and I think it's very much well-deserved. I mean, Kenny Omega still, to this day, is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he continues to prove it with each and every match that he's a part of. Despite all the challenges, despite all the injuries, the time off he spent, with the diverticulitis, even before the diverticulitis thing, prior, he had to take time off because of, a bunch of injuries he had. He had vertigo, all kinds of stuff, all the challenges he overcome, and he's still able to wrestle at the level that he's able to wrestle. He's undoubtedly one of the best in the world, and he continues to prove it, and I think he's going to prove it here. And I'm going to give him the win here. He will down Takeshita. He will get a measure of revenge against Don Callis, and he will become the new AEW International Champion. It's going to be it is going to be a special moment seeing Kenny Omega win this match. I strongly believe he's going to win this match and win that title. So that's what I think is going to happen. So we'll see. I got Kenny Omega going over in that and winning the international title. And then finally, we got our main event match of the night. This will be for the AEW World Championship. The current champion, Jon Moxley, defends against Adam Copeland, a.k.a. Cope. First time ever match between these two, which is very interesting considering obviously their past in WWE, but they never really truly had an encounter. Because I think Edge, or I should say Adam Copeland, aka Edge, got injured and he took time off, obviously from WWE, before I think, Jon Moxley came up, as Dean Ambrose. So, but yeah, this is the first time ever match between these two. We've seen, of course, the back and forth, Adam Copeland demanding a title match. Jon Moxley at first didn't want to give it to him, but then finally, eventually, he caved and he gave him a title match. And we've seen, of course, the Death Riders who have been running roughshod over AEW. They beat on Adam Copeland and Cope and his partners at the time. He teamed with FTR for a time, and he's been, Adam Copeland has been enlisting help from various AEW talents to help him deal with the Death Riders. And now in recent weeks, we've seen Cope, along with FTR, along with Will Nightingale, take out the other members of the Death Riders. Pac, they took out Pac, they took out Claudio Castagnoli, and more recently, Wheeler Yuta and, Cope wrestled a match on Dynamite, which Cope won, and seemingly there was like a show of respect or a show of understanding between Cope and Wheeler Yuta. So I'm not sure what that's about, but now it seems that, and of course, Marina Shafir was taken out by Will Nightingale, so now it seems like Jon Moxley is by himself. He's on his own, seemingly, going into this match on Sunday for the AEW World's title, which is, I guess, was Cope's plan to get Moxley by himself, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, so this ought to be a very physical match. Another match of the night candidate. I do think these guys are going to pull out a very good match. Jon Moxley, to me, is one of the best in the world. Despite what a lot of people say about him, well, he's just a deathmatch wrestler. He's still a very capable guy, still a very capable wrestler. There's a reason why he's one of my favorites, in AEW still to this day. It's one of my favorite wrestlers still to this day. Jon Moxley is a great match, great promo, great match. He's an all-around great wrestler. And Cope, even at his age, still can wrestle a very solid match, of just about anybody. So I think this is going to be another classic outing in the main event of the show for the AEW World's title. So we'll see what happens, man. I just get that feeling, even though the Death Riders were taken out, I just get that feeling we're going to get some sort of intervention or intervening on behalf of Jon Moxley. I just get that feeling. I get the feeling that we're going to see possibly the introduction of a new member. Maybe somebody comes in, maybe some outside third party. I don't know. I just get that feeling. But I got to, based on that is kind of going to influence who I think is going to win this match. So Jon Moxley, Cope, AEW World's title. My prediction, I got Jon Moxley retaining. Jon Moxley retains by hook or by crook. He downs Cope and he retains the AEW World's title. And like I said, I just get that feeling. I get the feeling somebody's going to intervene on behalf of Jon Moxley. It may not be the Death Riders. I think it's going to be somebody else. Somebody who we least expect. It's going to be somebody who we least expect gets involved in this match and costs Cope the victory. I just get that feeling. I just get that eerie feeling. I'm also going to say this because I got a few ideas as to who it might be. I think we might see an appearance from Bryan Danielson. I think we might see an appearance from maybe somebody like a Jack Perry. I don't know. I just get that. I get the feeling we're going to get some kind of intervention in this match, and it's going to cost Cope the match here. So we shall see, man. But nonetheless, I got Jon Moxley winning this match, and he will retain the AEW World's Heavyweight title by hook or by crook, like I said. So. And it's going to be very physical, and it's going to be a solid classic outing between these two guys. And so we'll see what happens in that main event. It's going to be definitely a shocking finish. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be a shock finish. I can guarantee you that. But anyway, so that's pretty much it for that. Those are my predictions. That's the AEW World Heavyweight title match. Jon Moxley will go over there by hook or by crook. And those are all the matches. Those are all my predictions for the matches for AEW Revolution 2025, and that's pretty much going to do it for this video, man. I did say that I was going to try to cut this short, but I can't help myself. We're almost 40 minutes in. I can't help myself. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say for this, man. So those are all the matches. Those are my predictions, and so thank you for watching this video. So I'm going to close it out. Excuse me. So I'm going to close it out here now. So thank you guys for watching. For those of you who have watched up to this point, hope you enjoyed. For those of you who are going to watch the pay-per-view tomorrow night, hope you enjoy it. I think it will be a great show. This card is stacked from top to bottom, so I do think AEW is going to put on another classic pay-per-view. So I do think just just a handful of matches alone is worth the price of admission. Just like 2, 3, 4 of these matches alone are worth the price of admission. But this entire card is just stacked. So I think it's going to be a great pay-per-view, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it. I know I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to try to do a live reaction. We shall see. I'm trying to think, I'm gonna decide whether or not to do a live reaction. I might very well do a live reaction, but I will definitely do a recap to the show, to this pay-per-view afterwards. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's going to be it for my video. So thank you for watching again. Be sure to leave a like on this video, leave a comment, give me your thoughts on any of these matches. Which match are you most looking forward to? Give me your predictions. Tell me what you thought of my predictions. Make your own in the comments. Make your own predictions in the comments, all that kind of stuff. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, man, if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support I can get. With that being said, that is pretty much going to do it. So, once again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have a good rest of your night. Have a good weekend. I will see you guys tomorrow night for AEW Revolution 2025. It's going to be a badass show. It's going to be a badass night. Great night for pro wrestling. Great night to be an AEW fan. Great night to be a pro wrestling fan. Can't wait. Can't wait for tomorrow night. But anyway, that's all I got to say for this video. So thank you for watching once again. Till next time, this has been the Wrestling Otaku. See you guys later. I'm out for now. Peace.